And welcome back, everybody. I look a little short there. Hold on. All right, there we go. Welcome back, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen. Brought to you, of course, by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you're looking to grab a beer for a Sabres game, we're celebrating a win like tonight, drowning your sorrows after a loss. Maybe you're looking for an early one tomorrow during or post, probably post, right? Post Brandon Bean, hopefully Terry Pagula press conference explaining themselves away. Get over to Fatty Beer, Western New York's Premier Market and Tap Room. Let them know we over here at Two Goalies One Mike sent you. Great vibes, live music, entertainment at all the locations, trivia as well. Get over to Fatty Beer. And of course, Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York, located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York, right next to Catalyst Fitness. 5-star facilities, 5-star staff at Impulse Physical Therapy, Western New York. You get some of the best care you need, whether it's a work-related injury, a sports-related injury. Maybe you're an athlete, you're looking to get sports testing done. They have it all over at Impulse Physical Therapy, Western New York. And as always, extreme discount mattress with Western New York's finest selection of mattresses and adjustable beds, featuring the cool gel memory foam, 2-sided mattresses, tele latex, organic mattresses, Cheddar Walls, and of course Scott Living, all for 1/3 to half the supposed sale prices anywhere. So stop into any of their 7 locations across Western New York, or check out their website, extrememattress.com. That is extreme with an X. If you're looking for more savings, check out their new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga with the 80% off. They're already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kinds, closeouts, and floor samples. You get a quality mattress for literally pennies on the dollar. Extreme discount mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And remember, if you mentioned that you are a fan of Two Goalies, One Mike, you get yourself a free mattress protector. And now I got to bring in my co-host, Connor Hurls. It's been a minute. Sabres with a huge dub.
Are we in the right sequencing here?
I'm bringing it up. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry.
I got it. Sorry. There we go. Boom goes the dynamite. No, Hurls. You Sabres with a big bounce back win, 5-3. After getting hit by a bussy against Carolina. Strong first period, and then I feel like they escaped with their lives getting a win tonight.
Yeah, I think people kind of, at least I underestimated the Predators going into this game. I thought they were way worse than they actually are. They're competing for a wild card spot in the Western Conference. I think they're only a couple points out, actually. They are, only 3 points out of a wild card spot in the Western Conference. Right around 500. They're better at home than they are on the road. And I think it's happened a few times, at least in during this month and a half stretch where they've gotten a 4-goal lead. It hasn't been that early. They've struggled with holding a third period lead, but I think the Sabres kind of rested on their laurels a little bit, especially after that Tage Thompson goal, and he was talking some shit to the Nashville bench. I think that might have fired them up a little bit potentially. And I think the team, given how well they were playing with their youth and their relative inexperience to the rest of the league, especially with a team with guys like Ryan O'Reilly, who we know well, Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi. They chased UC Saros from the bench, and we've seen it many times how a team responds when a goalie gets pulled when they don't necessarily think it was the goalie's fault. And I think they tried to do him some justice there. And as soon as it became 4-0, or maybe as soon as it became 4-1, the Predators tilted the ice in a dramatic fashion. There was a shift at the end of the second period there where I think the Sabres are extremely fortunate that the Predators didn't make it 4-3 even before the end of the second. So
they were so gassed, man. They were so gassed.
For sure. You could consider them lucky, but I do think you can also approach it in the way that as well as they played in the first half of that game, I think they got themselves enough of a cushion, clearly, that they were able to take it home despite the bad second half.
For sure. And guys were still selling out, even though they were gassed. I mean, maybe you kind of saw the shades of the fact that they were on a back-to-back, playing the matinee game yesterday against Carolina, and then coming into tonight, you start out hot. Let's talk about the kids line 2.0. Is this kids line 2.0, or would this be considered 3.0?
I think this is like the baby line is what it is.
Baby line? Should we name it now? The baby line?
Maybe they're even younger than the kid line. I think
I don't know if I want to call them the kid line.
Yeah, the average. Yeah, I think that can be reserved for Quinn Paterka and Cousins, but the average age of this line is definitely younger than the original kid line.
So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call it the baby line.
Sure, or the toddler line.
Line. I like that one better. Toddler line.
The toddler line. Yeah.
The toddler line.
The youth line. The line of youth. Either way, they, especially in that first period, were unbelievable. I'm trying to look at the advanced stats here, but Noah Ostlund is quickly becoming one of the more well-rounded, best players on the team. There's a reason he hasn't gone down, and there's a reason he's still playing as well as he is in the NHL, and I think he's really coming into his own, and he's realizing how to use his skills, his speed, his playmaking to be a legitimate good to above average player in the NHL at such a young age, which is really, really insane.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we've heard about Consta Hellenis, but I think tonight really showed the higher ceiling of his talent and what he's able to do, especially with good line mates and a guy he's probably pretty familiar with in Noah Ostlund. So yeah, it's super exciting to see the Sabres prospect and high-end pipeline pay dividends in real life in the NHL.
And another thing too, like Mike Leone, I know he has no hair. I don't think he has any hair, right? I think he's bald. Mike Leone bald?
I think so. I think he is, yeah.
If he had hair, it's all gone because he's losing everybody. I don't think he's going to get Hellenius back after that performance. I mean, maybe we get too ahead of ourselves, but he looked like he belonged.
Yeah.
That shot for his first NHL goal was fucking beautiful. That was so pretty.
It was insane. It was I said it, and maybe he probably didn't think of it this way, but for a young Finnish kid, a 19-year-old Finnish kid, to go bar down from the top of the slot on none other than UC Saros, likely one of the best Finnish goalies of all time. Mm-hmm. If he keeps trending and plays for a long time, I think he could go down as the best Finnish goalie of all time. For Consta Hellenis to go bar down on UC Saros for his first NHL goal is something he will remember and talk about, and his family and friends will talk about for the rest of their lives. That is a seminal moment in his life for him to be able to do that, and I'm so happy he was able to.
And he just obviously he's at Ostlund, 3-point night in his second game, and you saw the Malenstein injury. Let's talk about Malenstein. Guy just plays a more honest game out there, blocks shots, throws his body around. I think we had my buddy Steve Bennett on the post game after 05-06 night, and he's a little older than you and I, but he actually helped inspire this podcast with his show, the Sportscasters. But he, me and him agreed. I look at Malenstein. I think a little bit Mike Greer, right? Can score a few goals here and there, but plays a very similar style the way Mike Greer played.
Yeah, I like his game a lot, especially on the fourth line. Hopefully he didn't break his foot.
That but again,
super unfortunate, but next man up. I mean, we've seen
probably going to be Isaac Rosien, and Leone's is. I know that's what the farm club is for. 100%.
Sure. Yeah. No,
we've literally gutted that team this season.
No, and as we've needed to, and I think that,
and they're they're still only a few points out of first place right now in Rochester.
No, it's crazy. It speaks to the organizational depth, and I think Americans fans, I think largely are probably Sabres fans too, for the most part, and I think they can probably understand and be not too upset about this type of situation. But just like the Bills this season, the Sabres have dealt with so many injuries, and you hear the phrase next man up all the time, but it really applies to this team, and I think they're doing a really good job of it. If Isaac Rosian comes back up, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he plays well enough that we're in another situation of like, hey, you can't afford to not have this guy in the lineup.
Yeah, you're spot on there. We did have, talk about Alex Lyon's return, but I tweeted out Alex Lyon just told Roman Josi to fuck off with that glove save. And, he's walked it right in, he stared him down and just not a windmill glove save, but snapped it, brought it back in. And somebody replied, I have no clue what it was for plus 1059. He had Kyle Connor 1 point, one plus point, Ryan O'Reilly 1 plus point, Philip Forsberg 1 plus point, Luke Evangelistia, however you say his name, 1 plus point, and then Alex Tuck a point, Tage Thompson a point. I don't know what he would have won. He bought $100. It doesn't really show here, but the only one he didn't get was Roman Josi a point. He replied with his little bet slip. Thought that was kind of funny.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I can't do that math. I don't know what that would have been. I imagine a lot, but $100 bet it was plus 750, I think. So 7-pick parlay. So sorry about that, bud. Paco, sorry, Paco. Alex Lyon took that one from you, but yeah, Lion King just came back and didn't miss a beat, man. I think the Philip Forsberg goal, he was kind of screened on. I don't know if he saw that puck at all, but when you needed him tonight, he was there and in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for his first game in almost a month, I think he physically looked really good. He was moving around really well. He challenged, as you said, on that Roman Josi shot. Eventually, when the shot was actually taken, both of his feet were outside of his crease. And as a shorter goalie, I think we both can speak to that. That's exactly where you want to be, especially with a guy coming unabated down the slot. So for him to put himself in that position and be athletic and be a challenging presence at the top of his crease, I think is really good, especially for his first game back. I think once you get a little bit more used to your angles and the speed of the game, once you get into more of a rhythm, you don't have to take that type of chance because obviously you open yourself up to overcommitting. But I think he was really measured in his approach, and even especially in the third period with the puck that got over him, and at the end of the game there, really battled in his net and in the back of his crease as well. And he was able to get to a few pucks on his posts, a few pucks on the goal line, and I think he showed what he was showing in the few weeks leading up to when he got hurt, is that when he's healthy and when he's at his best, he is the starting goalie of this team. And
so common there.
Yeah. And well, I mean, when he needs to be, but he's also chaotic and athletic when he needs to be is too. You need a little bit of both. And I think he showed that tonight.
Well, when I say calm, I just mean like he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. Lets a goal in, like the Philip Forsberg goal. Many would call that weak. I mean, for sure, it came off the half wall. But
I don't think he saw it though, right? Like,
no, he definitely didn't see it. But still, you know what I mean. You don't want that go in from that spot
for sure.
And
I think just bad bounce though.
Just stayed level and just kept himself in that game. And that blocker save where, oh my God. I mean, Zach Metsa jumped in that crease like there was a live grenade and he was trying to shield everybody from the blast. I love that. I love that sellout from him. But yeah, I mean, just Lyon just was as good as you could ask him to be in a game like tonight. You don't want to go 0-2 to start this road trip. And now who do you start in Montreal on Thursday in a very, very huge 4-point swing game?
I mean, as long as Lyon feels good and he's healthy and he's able to recover in the right way, and he feels nothing related to the injury that kept him out, I think you probably go with Lyon in a huge game on Thursday in Montreal. But if he feels any type of soreness or his cardio's not there, or if the doctors recommend or advise that he would risk re-injuring himself whatsoever because it would be too quick after such an intense game in his first game back in a month, I think you go UPL.
I love it. You already tweeted it out, the toddler line of Benson Oslin.
Got to be ready.
I love it.
Got to be ready. Someone else is going to do it. You got to get ahead of it.
Here's the thing. We have a couple other entries here in the chat. Pre-K line or Kinderline.
Okay. I mean, I think it can be a choose your own adventure situation.
Yeah, I think it could be.
You can
I
call it
like it
whatever you
all.
want. Kid is obviously much more all encompassing, but we've retired that and we've moved on, and whatever gets the most traction, we'll go with it. But yeah, it was really, really cool, especially on the second Osland goal, to see that line not only finish and execute, but control play in the offensive zone for as long as they did, to be as creative with the puck, with their passes, to have as much movement. It's kind of what you want to see on a power play, but they were doing it at 5-on-5, which it makes it all the more impressive. Even Power got in the mix there. The defensemen were getting in the mix. They're zipping the puck around. And for a team a little bit on the older side like Nashville, they quite literally could not keep up. And it was really, really amazing to see. So I hope they're able to keep that momentum, keep this going. Obviously, the Canadians are a bit faster, a bit younger, so I think they could match up a little bit better than the Preds. But yeah, it's really cool to see those guys buzzing around.
I think it was Ray. It might have been Ray, or I mean, it's Dan. I don't know. I'm excited to see that line against a team like Montreal who plays with a ton of speed, because that could be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's the teams are almost mirror images of each other, and I think that's reflected in the standings, right? Like the Sabres they've got a game in hand, but 4 points out of the third spot in the Atlantic, which the Canadians currently hold, 63 points. Very good on the road, actually. That's pretty crazy to see. They're 14-10-1 at home, 14-5-6 on the road. I think I saw tonight they scored with 15 seconds left to get the win over the Wild, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So that is a bit unfortunate. But it is what it is. You control your own destiny. I think the Sabres do at this point, which is a really cool thing to say with, what is it, 34 games remaining, 33 games remaining.
It's so kind of crazy that we're like this close to the trade deadline already.
Yeah, this close to this close to the mini trade deadline, which is the Olympic roster freeze, and then after that, obviously, depending on what happens, because there's probably, I hate to say it, but there's probably going to be injuries in the Olympics. I think teams will be desperate to make something happen once everybody comes back.
For sure. I mean, for sure, and especially on a smaller ice surface where you're building your teams built around speed. I mean, accidents are bound to happen, right? I think, what do they say? Like the rink is like 3 feet smaller than an NHL rink.
Yeah, I think the neutral zone is smaller, which potentially could be a positive thing in terms of transition and more goals and whatnot. But yeah, there's a chance that, especially in the high competitive nature of the Olympic Games, let's say there's a USA Canada final, you don't think there's going to be checks thrown over the middle of the ice? Like, if there's less room in the neutral zone, you have to imagine that there's going to be more contact. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But speaking of which, since Tage has been named to the Olympic team, I don't know exactly what his stats are, but he's become a different player. Guy loves his country so much. He's been quite literally re-energized by it, and he is turning into the consistent dominant force that we were used to, that we were missing prior to that this season. So that has been really cool to see, and I hope he keeps it up.
Yep. And I guess Malenstein was on the bench to end the game, so that's a relief. That's good to hear. I guess there was one other thing I wanted to talk about in regards to tonight's game. Oh, God, what was it? Is there any other talking points you want while I try and pick my brain?
I was just looking at a tweet from Chad Dudam. I wish I could pronounce his last name. I'm going to figure it out. But he, as we were talking about the Olympic break, he said 8 games left until the Olympic break, all but one against Eastern Conference opponents. Montreal, New York Islanders, Toronto. We've got the Kings in the West. Montreal again, Florida, Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh. Sabres have built a 3-point lead in the wild card 1 spot on Toronto and 5 points on Philadelphia and Washington. Got to keep finding ways to win here. And yeah, that says it best. 8 games until the break. Obviously, you have a few guys going, but that 8-game stretch, we've talked about this season in stretches, but especially leading into an uncharacteristic really, really long break for most guys in the middle of the season. These 8 games are going to be super, super important. And it's a lot of games that are pretty close together as well, obviously, given the condensed nature of the schedule. So cannot stress enough how, especially against Eastern Conference opponents, at least getting a point and how important most, if not all of those games really are to the standings and the wild card race.
Okay. Now I remember what I was going to say. We saw a lot of Ryan O'Reilly tonight. He kind of looked like the old Ryan O'Reilly. I was surprised to see the season he was having. Like they had before he scored that second, I think he had 2 goals tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So he's 18 goals in the season, close to 50 points already. For a guy at his age, on a struggling Nashville team who's trying to be a wild card team, do you see a world where Ryan O'Reilly could be in a Sabres uniform again?
I jokingly said it to my friend earlier, and I was heavily emphasizing the joking nature of it. No, I don't think so. I think there's too much history there. I tweeted out at one point his quote about him losing his love of the game multiple times while in Buffalo and losing mental focus. And also, given what happened when he left, going on to win a cup and a Conn Smythe, I think there's too much there. I don't necessarily think he thinks badly about the team, and I think he's a smart enough guy where he could separate his situation when he was with Buffalo and what it looks like now. But personally, I don't envision that happening. If it does happen, I'll be shocked, and
I'd welcome it.
Yeah, I'd be pleased given like how he plays and how good he's playing. But no, I do not think it's going to
happen. We've talked about it quite extensively on the podcast. But again, the roster freeze for the Olympics is getting closer and closer. The trade deadline is getting closer and closer. What are the needs of this team right now?
Gosh, I would just say depth, both on forward and defense. Obviously, like if you can get a high level guy, especially in your top 6, center depth specifically, obviously given Josh Norris's injury history, I think would be good. Obviously, we've talked about a guy like Robert Thomas. I'm sure there are other attractive names out there, but center depth specifically, and it's going to be tough, but if you can get that high-end guy, I think that would be great too. And then on the back end in your bottom pair, obviously, I think Bryson and Metza have done well, but also given Michael Kesselring's injury track record this season, I think you would probably want to add potentially one more guy on your back end that you can trust in any situation. So something along those lines, I think it's way more likely they get a couple depth pieces. But if Jarmo does decide to swing for the fences, a top 6 center would be, I think, prudent.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's where you hear guys' names like Rob Thomas. I know we've talked about him quite a bit. Jordan Kyrou is a winger, I believe, so that he doesn't really fall into that. But again, top 6 guy. As far as defensemen go, I mean, I don't know what the market is like out there. I know like Dougie Hamilton's pretty much on his way out, but I don't know. They'd have to eat a lot of that contract. Another guy that played tonight that is having kind of like a resurgent season compared to last is Steven Stamkos, who makes a ton of money. But I think Nashville, again, given if they're sellers at the deadline, would probably be willing to eat some of that salary. I think he only has 1 year left after this one. I think he didn't sign a long-term deal with Nashville. I think it was like a 3 or 4 year contract. Like, how open would you be to that guy?
I mean, I wouldn't oppose it, especially given his experience, obviously, and what he would bring to a locker room. I think I would personally like somebody younger and a little bit cheaper, especially if it would just be like a rental situation or if they would take on the rest of his contract, obviously. I think I would tend to lean a little bit younger. I mean, you even talk about the Vancouver Canucks who have lost 11 straight games. Kiefer Sherwood,
which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised given that they traded Quinn Hughes, but Kiefer Sherwood just gets traded to the Sharks. This name has come up a lot, but I don't think it's out of the question still. Elias Pettersson, he's their leading goal scorer. 29 points in 41 games. Obviously not great, but also in a really...
I want nothing to do with that contract, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but he is like we talked about, a first line center. And at the end of the day, you have to give to get, and you pay the guys that obviously have a proven track record of producing. Their second leading goal scorer is Philip Roenick. He's got 25 assists in 49 games. And I don't know how his advanced metrics are. He's a plus minus isn't necessarily the best stat, but on a really bad team in 25 minutes a game, he has a plus minus of 0. So I would say that's a pretty good indication that he's playing some really good hockey right now. So
Yeah.
I would say those two would be the top 2 targets in my eyes from that team, a team that is likely trying to sell off everything that they possibly can to actually rebuild and get to a place where in a few years they can be competitive, because right now they're on their way to the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, they are, without a doubt. Some names in the chat. Zach Whitecloud would be a nice ad. Love to get Logan Stanley in this ad. Like, I like the idea of Logan Stanley for sure. Plays a heavy game, and I think it'd be a nice ad. Fit in real well with this team. A name thrown around, which I still can't believe he's not signed in Dallas, but I can't see. There's no way they're trading him, as Jason Robertson. I think that, like, I mean, never say never, but I mean, they're making a run at the cup. They're not going to trade their best player.
I wouldn't be shocked, though. I think
it's, again, never say never. But
given what's transpired with him and the Olympic team, I think I've at least heard rumblings that part of the reason he wasn't chosen was what his fit in the room would be, and very much related to how he gets along with teammates and his personality. And maybe that's come from how he's interacted with his Dallas teammates. I'm not necessarily sure. That's a team composed of a lot of Finnish guys, and he's, from what I hear, a little bit of a quirkier, introspective, introvert type guy who's just a really good hockey player. I don't know how the leading goal scorer amongst American-born forwards doesn't make the U.S. Olympic team. And if that's the case, that's got to be a locker room type fit situation. I would have to imagine. So that sounds like a guy to me that could potentially be traded.
Yeah, I mean, again, never say never. But I just, when you're trying to push for a cup and you're he's such a good hockey player.
Yeah, they've got a lot of skill on that team. And let's say, I mean, I don't necessarily want to say it because, it wouldn't be ideal for us, but would you do a Jason Robertson for Alex Tuch trade? I don't know. If Alex Tuch if you can't come to terms with Alex Tuch, I would welcome that. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would have to figure that out. And so far they haven't. So who knows? But I would definitely be open to that type of situation. And I think that's the cool part about being in the position the Sabres are right now. They can explore any and all options, knowing that the goal is not only to compete in the future, but the main goal as of right now, especially what's transpired in the past 4 days in Buffalo, is to make the playoffs. If this team makes the playoffs, they will be in the good graces of everybody, not only in the city, but across the world, who roots for this team for generations. You saw what that 2017 Bills team did to break the drought, and how people are still attached to that team and to the coaches, as we saw yesterday when Sean McDermott got fired, because he was the one to turn the culture around and break the drought. So far as we've seen, who knows how much he's actually done, but this team is playing at a much better rate and pace with Jarmo Kekalainen as GM. If he parlays this streak and this set of games and this month-and-a-half run into the Sabres breaking a 14-year playoff drought, that would indebted him to the city of Buffalo for the rest of his life. So I think he's gonna go for it. I really do.
Apparently the Kings lost their goaltender now too. Darcy Kemper is hurt. Possibly on the market for looking for a goalie. So we'll see how that goes. Well, obviously with Lyon back, you just can't carry 3 goalies all season, given the amount of injuries you continuously deal with. You have to imagine Ellis is the odd man out unless a team really wants UPL. Could that be? And what suitors are there out there for goalies right now? let's just, say the Darcy Kemper jersey injury is serious, and they're not anywhere near a playoff spot, right? The Kings. I don't think they
I
are.
mean, everyone's near a playoff spot aside from the Canucks in the West.
Canucks,
Now, the Kings are
but I mean, if they're looking for a goalie, a good young goalie, I mean, I know they have former Saver Eric Portillo in the system. Like, I don't know if he steps into that spot, but I don't know how many teams are out there looking for a goalie right now.
They're 2 points out with a game in hand on the Sharks.
Oh, okay. I thought they were in a much worse off spot than
no,
that.
they're doing pretty well. I think just even looking at the goals against in the Western Conference, I think the Ducks, who have the worst goals against in the entire conference, aside from the Canucks,
well, yeah,
would
they
potentially be in the market. They traded Gibson, obviously, but Dostal hasn't necessarily been amazing recently. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it necessarily would have to just be the West, but I think that would be preferable. Maybe even St. Louis. Maybe they'd want Colton Ellis back. I would if I were them, given how up and down Binnington's back. Yeah, hard to say. I don't think they're going to make, given how tight the East is this season. I don't think they're going to make a trade with a team in the East, unless it's the Rangers, who at this point look like the only team that's like really out of it. Maybe the Blue Jackets. Obviously, they fired their coach. Obviously, Yarmo's got the connection there, so there's at least a chance of those two teams. But I think any other team is not in play.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. Before we head to the final thoughts, just want to throw it back to our sponsors at Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different locations. If you need a beer, make sure you check out Fatty Beer. Let them know we sent you over here at 2 Goalies, 1 Mike. Of course, as always, Extreme Discount Mattress, 7 different Western New York locations. You can find them at you can find their website, extrememattress.com. That is extreme with an X. They have a new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga, where you can get one-of-a-kind closeouts and floor samples, all for pennies on the dollar. Or Extreme Discount Mattress, they sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And if you mention that you are a fan of 2 Goalies, 1 Mike, when you buy a mattress, you get a free mattress protector with any purchase of a mattress. And of course, Impulse Physical Therapy, located at 5087 Broadway, 200 in Depew, New York. And I'll kick it over to a quick ad read for Impulse Physical Therapy. It's time to ditch the physical therapy clinics that treat you like you're just another number and step into a world where you're at the center of your care. Impulse is owned by Buffalo's only board-certified sports physical therapist. We work one-on-one using science-backed technology like 3D motion analysis and force plates to help you exceed your goals and become the healthiest, strongest version of yourself. So come experience the Impulse difference today and mention this for a discounted $77 assessment visit. Hurls, let's get to your final thoughts.
I'm going to be optimistic about the game rather than pessimistic. I think they knew what they needed to do tonight coming off that tough game in Carolina yesterday. They got out to the start they needed with the help of the toddler line, the pre-K line, the kinder line, whatever you want to call them. Benson, Ostland, Hellenius, they looked like absolute savage dogs out there in the first period. Tage is continuing what he's done for almost a month now. I'm so excited to see what he can do in the Olympics. I think he's on a trajectory of potentially being the most outstanding player if he keeps this type of pace up. But going into the Olympics, as we said, 8 games, 7 against Eastern Conference opponents. This has been so incredibly fun and so incredibly refreshing. And this team is actually good. This is all real. All the numbers support it. The eye test supports it. But they need to keep this up leading into the Olympic break. Obviously, the month of March is going to be brutal, and the beginning of the month of April is going to be brutal. But to stay on this path and stay in a really good position to help them go for it, go out and make a trade to make this lineup even better, they need to get every single possible point that they can of these 16 possible points in the next 8 games. I would be optimistic to say I think they could do 11 or 12, maybe even more of 16, given the way that they're playing. But it's against a really, really tough Eastern Conference laden slate. So I think anything could happen, and they just need to be mentally a little bit more mentally tough, especially maintaining a lead. and play like they did in the first period. And then I think we should be good.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. I prefer 12 out of 16. Just, again, stack points. These division games that you're gonna have coming up. I think we play Montreal at least 3 more times. Like 3 more times.
It's got to be.
So, I mean, that's 6 points. I think you need to at least take 4 to 5 out of those 6. Their next game is against Montreal on Thursday at the Bell Center. Then you have the Islanders on Saturday, and then the Maple Leafs Tuesday, another big time division game. And then those are all. And then you come back home, right? You're back home against the Kings, the Canadians again on the 31st. And then the Panthers, Lightning, and Penguins. So there's definitely a bunch of winnable games. And I don't think have they played the Lightning yet this season?
I don't think so. Just quick skim. No, they haven't.
I don't think they have. And that is a team that has been on fire this season. So that is probably gonna be their biggest test, right?
Yeah, I mean the only back-to-back in the rest of these the stretch before the Olympic break. So that's good. Obviously they had it yesterday and today, but a condensed schedule, but thankfully just the Monday and Tuesday in Florida in a couple weeks, which hasn't been kind to the Sabres in recent years, but this is a different Sabres team. So we can hopefully be a little bit better down there than we have in the past.
Your thoughts right now on Jack Quinn?
As he was coming down that left wing prior to the O'Reilly goal, I said aloud, get the puck on net. He did not get the puck on net, and it got broken out and eventually was in the Sabres net 7 seconds later. I think it speaks to how he's played for the majority of this season. I think
hot and cold, right?
Yeah, they're mostly cold.
More cold. Let's just say more cold than hot.
More cold than hot. And yes, he's produced, but it has been in spurts. And I think his game, especially from a turnover perspective and a chance creation perspective, has largely not been very good. If he is an asset still, I think he should be considered in trade proposals if someone is interested in his higher level, but I'm not necessarily sure he even would be at this point. So I hope that he's got to be watching video and the coaches are talking with him that in that type of situation, I think it's a really good example. Just got to get the puck on net. Even if it gets kicked out and the same exact thing happens, you at least created a chance. But I think too often he's not strong enough on his stick, not strong enough with the puck, and it either gets taken away from him or he misses a prime opportunity like that. So that's where I'm at.
And he has such a lethal shot, man. Like he can put that puck anywhere he wants. And I just think he needs to stop gripping his stick so much and trying to pick spots. And when you're struggling to score, just put pucks on the pads and hope for the best. That's the way you kind of get yourself out of funk. You just, shift for shift, step by step, do the small things, find a way to make an impact on the game. And again, if you're going to be in these long, elongated cold streaks, those are the things you should be doing, in my opinion. We do have one last submission. I saw this one twice. My dad popped in, Dwayne Steinel Sr., HBO line. So
Hellenis, Benson, Opson. I like that. That's good too.
I like that one. So I think we're going to do a poll. Got to keep Tuck. His value goes beyond the ice. He's a big brother figure a lot.
Yeah, and I've said this before. Like, I think given how short of a time Yarmo's been there, you got to know what that would do to the room. Because if guys, I mean, look at the McDermott thing yesterday and the reaction from the players. Like,
finish your statement, and I want your thoughts on that.
I don't think, kind of similar to this, I don't think Bean and Pegula, they definitely underestimated the effect that it would have on both current and former players and how much of a connection McDermott had to that room. And as much of a leader as Alex Tuck is, he's usually one of the last ones off the ice. He's constantly hyping up the guys, hugging the goalies. I don't doubt that whatsoever. And it is something to consider. But it is a business, and you have to consider whether or not he's going to sign with the team. And if he does want $11 million a year, whether that for 5 years or even more, if that's a smart thing to do, given his play, which I think has been inconsistent this season. He's obviously very good on the penalty kill. He's had some really good games here and there, but I think yesterday is an example of a game where he kind of disappeared in a big moment. And that can't happen when you're on the top line. So it's a complicated situation.
And we'll say it till we're blue in the face. He's a Selke candidate on this team with the way they're playing right now, and on most contenders in the NHL. You don't find many two-way centermen who can score at the clip that he does.
Well, he's mostly wing, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean center, but like you can't find many players that contribute on the score sheet, defensively, on the penalty. He literally plays in every situation. But I mean, I think that's worth 10.5 million a year. I know he's 30 years old. That's tough.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, if it's 5 years, I'm good with it. But if it's 7 or 8, like that's a little bit different. So, yeah, I don't know. And quickly on the Bills, I thought Sean McDermott should have been gone after 13 seconds. Everyone keeps saying this is a business. It's cold-blooded. I think whether it was his fault or not, I think that was enough of a blunder in a big moment where I had said to fire him immediately after that game. And a lot of me and my friends have been on the same page since. I think this was probably his best season.
That's the consensus for sure.
And he did it with a really depleted roster. Obviously the injuries, but also just the makeup of the roster. And I think you can point that squarely, or not squarely, because McDermott definitely had a part in it, but on Brandon Beane's shoulders. And it just, I hate to regurgitate takes I've seen from everybody, but I think that's the consensus amongst most people, that I don't know how McDermott goes and Brandon Beane doesn't. I think it's a bit asinine, if I'm being honest. And I think there was a power struggle and one guy won. I think we know how Terry Pegula operates in these situations. And one guy got in his ear and he was watching games with him. As Tim Graham has reported a couple times, he earned his trust by watching games with him in the owner's suite, which we've seen before on the Sabres side more than a few times. So this isn't too surprising. I was shocked that it happened, but given the information we've learned, I'm not surprised at all that it did. And I just hope that they get it right, because if they don't, it could be catastrophic.
100%. And I said it yesterday. I was like, I don't think McDermott and even most fans realized like how much this guy was loved, honestly, until he was fired, because the outpouring of support for Sean McDermott was overwhelming, to say the least. And listen, to your point, like there was definitely reasons to fire him. You could have made plenty of justifications, no doubt. But also, like you said, like it's been said, this has probably been his best season as coach, considering he had guys playing at wide receiver in a do or die game, throwing the ball in a do or die situation to guys that were on a couch for most of the year. They didn't know the playbook well enough. The Darius Slay thing, all this stuff that went against Sean McDermott and how he had to kind of coach against certain decisions. And then, you heard the stories that, came from Vic Carucci about the meeting 5 weeks ago, him calling out Keon Cohen being a bust and them not having a legitimate pass rusher on defense, and just all of this stuff that he had kind of going against him, that's to still get within one bad call away from another AFC championship game. It sucks. It sucks. And I hope that there's a plan. I don't know what this press conference is going to bring tomorrow, Hurls. I think it could be reminiscent of the press conference that the Sabres had with Terry and Kim 2 weeks after they said Botterill was safe and they fired him.
I personally think Beane is going to tuck his tail. He's going to fall on the sword. He's going to admit the roster shortcomings. He's going to apologize for the radio appearance. I think he's going to do whatever he possibly can to gain some goodwill with the fan base, because he's not dumb. He knows this looks horrible. And as Joe Bisceglia said, it feels icky, and people are calling him Littlefinger if everybody understands the Game of Thrones reference. So no, I think he's gonna tuck his tail, because he has to know that this has been a PR nightmare in more ways than one.
20 over under 20 words we get from Terry Pegula.
He's going to make a statement. I think it's going to be less than a minute. And then he's going to say, I'll hand it over to Brandon Bean, and then he's going to leave.
Same thing as the Yarmo introduction. I think you're right. So I got nothing else. If you guys enjoyed this, please make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. You can find us at Two Goalies, One Mic. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can find myself at Duane S39. You can find my co-host at C-Hurls13. You can find the podcast at Two Goalies, One Mic. If you are watching on YouTube, as I see many of you are, as I say after every episode, please right now hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit your bell icon so you know when we go live. We appreciate all the support. We will talk to you later. And as always, go Sabres.